참 사르다바 나랄리달로카 트라나야 카루냐 가나가나탐 참 사르다바 나랄리달로카 Pranaya karunya gana ganatam praptasya kalyanam gurnanavasya Vande Guru Shri Charanarabindam praptasya kalyanam gurnanavasya Vande Guru Shri Vande Guru Shri Charanarabindam Vande Guru Shri Charanarabindam Charanarabindam Vande Guru Shri Charanarabindam Mahaprabhu ki Tananita Gita Paritramadhyam Manasurasenam Mahaprabhu ki Paritramadhyam Romanchakam pasru Tarangabhajam Vande Guru Shri Charanarabindam Shri Vigrahara Dana Nityanana Shingaratanama Niramajanado Shri Vigrahara Dana Nityanana Shingaratanama Jokta Sabhaktam Sa Niyunjatopi Vande Guru Shri Charanarabindam Vande Chaturvidha Shri Bhagavat Prasado Satana Truptam Hari Bhakta Sangam Chaturvidha Bhagavat Prasado Satana Truptam Kridvaiva Trupti Bhajato Sadeva Vande Guru Shri Charanarabindam Shiradikama Dabayara Para Madhura Lila Gunarupanamna Shiradikama Madhura Lila Pratikshanaswa Dhanalalupasya Vande Guru Shri Charanarabindam Ne kunjayono Ratikeli Siddhai Jajali Bhir Juktir Apekshaniyam Tatra tidakcha ativalabhasya Vande Guru Shri Charanarabindam. Sakshat Haridvena Samasta Shastri Pruktatatava Vyataeva Sadhavi Sakshat Haridvena Sashri Into Praborja Priya Eva Tasya Vande Gudashi Charanarabindam. Yasya Prasadam Bhagavat Prasadam Yasya Prasadam Nagati Kutapi Yasya Yasya Prasadam Nagati Kutapi Dayam Stuvam Tasya Yasatvinsanyam Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam. Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam. Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Same Nitina Mine Rama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Prachadine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pachatarisha Tarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gora Bhakta Vrinda Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gora Bhakta Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Gaur Nityananda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hariyaraye Namah, Krishna Jatavaye Namah, Radhavaye Madhavaya Kesavaya Namah, Hare Gopal Govindaram Shrimadusudam, Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan, Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita, Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita, Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhattaraguna, Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasaraguna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Radha Nila Madhava, Radha Nila Madhava, Radhe. Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladev, Jaya Subhadrama, Jaya Sudarshan Chakra. Jaya Sitaram, 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 Jaya Sitaram, Jaya Sitaram, Sitaram, Lakshmana Hanuman, Sitaram, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Jai Om Vishnu Paraparam Saprabhajakacharya Suttara Srajishimar. His Divine Grace of Bhaktivinoda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Pratishta Viviti Samstapakacharya Vaishnav Shramani Patita Pavana Srila Prabhupada Ji Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Gauriya Guru Varga Patiti Udhara Ki Jai. Shri Rup Sanatana Bhatta Raghunatha Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Gunasat गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय, नमाचार्य शील हरिदास ठाकुर जी की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसरि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, जय परम दयाल से नित्यानंद प्रभु की जय, प्रेम नाम संकीर्तन एक जनाक प्रेम पुरुषोत्तम श्री सच्चिनंदन स्मरण गौरंग श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु गौर हरि महावरण अवतार की जय, गोलोकेर प्रमधान हरि नाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की जय, जुग धर्म हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय, बृहत मृदंग ट्रांसडेंटल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन सेवा की जय, श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपना राधा कुंसम कुन गिरिराज गोवर्धन की जय, श्री ब्रज भूमि वृंदावन मथुर धाम की जय, तेलोर शिव शिष्य राधा नीलमाधव की जय, श्री मायापुर नवद्वीप एक चक्र धाम की जय, परम करुण श्री गौर निताय की जय, श्री पुरुषोत्तम चित्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय, श्री जगन्नाथ स्वामी बलदेव प्रभु सुभद्रा देवी सुदर्शन चक्र भगवान की जय, भक्ति सर्व विघ्न विनाशन कर्ण सिंह भगवान की जय, भगवान सीताराम लक्ष्मण भक्त हनुमान जी की जय, जगंगा माई जमुना माई की जय, तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी भक्ति देवी की जय, श्री मथुरा रानी की जय, समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय, निताय गौरी प्रमानंदे। All glories to the assembly bodies, all glories to the assembly bodies, all glories to the assembly bodies, all glories, all glories, all glory to Shri Guru Shri Gauranga. Hari.
Namaste Narasimhaya Praladadayine Hiranyakashipurvakshaha
Silatanka nakalaye,
Ito Narasimha Parato Narasimha
Ita nisinga parato nisinga,
Yato Yato Yamitato Narasimha
Jatta jatta jamitata nisinga,
Bahir Narasimha Hridaye Narasimha
Nisinga hridaye nisinga,
Narasimha Madim Sharanam Prapade
Narasimha madhim sharana prapade,
Tava Karakamanavare Nakam Adbhuta Shingam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringam Keshavadreta Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare
Tava karakamala bare nakam adabhuta shinga, Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanavinga, Kesavadeta Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare, Jai Jagadish Hare, Jai Jagadish Hare,
वृषभधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे
केशवदीता नरहरिरूप जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश
जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह
जय सिंह लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह
जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज
जय प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद
निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल
निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल
कृष्णदेव भगवान की जय
श्री भक्ति पद सर्वविघ्नाशन कनिसिंह हरे भगवान की जय भक्त श्रेष्ठ प्रहलाद महाराज की जय कुररी प्रमानंद हरि बोल श्री वृंदाई तुलसी देवाई प्रियाय केशव सत्य विष्णु भक्ति प्रदे देवे शतवताय नमो नमः वृंदाई तुलसी देवाई प्रियाय केशव सत्य विष्णु भक्ति प्रदे देवे शतवताय नमः वृंदाई तुलसी देवाई प्रियाय केशव सत्य विष्णु भक्ति प्रदे देवे शतवताय नमो नमः वृंदाई तुलसी देवाई प्रियाय केशव सत्य विष्णु भक्ति प्रदे देवे शतवताय नमः वृंदाई तुलसी देवाई प्रियाय केशव सत्य विष्णु भक्ति प्रदे देवे शतवताय नमः वृंदाई तुलसी देवाई प्रियाय केशव सत्य विष्णु भक्ति प्रदे देवे शतवताय श्रीमती तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय can sing? Hello.
नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्णा प्रेयसी नमो नमः
तुलसी कृष्णा प्रेयसी नमो नमः
नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्णा प्रेयसी नमो नमः
तुलसी कृष्णा प्रेयसी नमो नमः
राधा कृष्णा सेवा पावो ए अभिलाषी
Krishna Seva Pavo Abhilasi
Radha Krishna Seva Pavo Abhilashi
Radha Krishna Seva Pavo Abhilasi
Je tomara sharana loy tara vancha purana hoy
Je tomara saranalo Tara vancha purna
kripa kori koro tare Vrindavan vasi
Tumi kripa kore tare Vrindavana vasi
Morae abhilash Bilas kunje diyo vas
Morae Avela Velas kunde diyava
Nayane haribo sada Jugal ruparasi
Aminayane Bosada Jogala Ruparasi
এই নিবেদনা ধারো সাখীর অনুগাতা করো
Ei Nivedana Doro Sakirayanu Gata Koro
সেবাধিকারা দিয়ে করো নিজদাসী
Sevayade Koradiye Korone Janasi
দীনা কৃষ্ণ দাসে কোয়ে জিনা মোরা হয়ে
Dina Krishna Das Kor Namora
শ্রী রাধা গোবিন্দা প্রেমে সদা জিনা ভাসি
Shri Radha Govinda Preme Sarayena Vasi
শ্রী রাধা গোবিন্দা প্রেমে সদা জিনা ভাসি
Shri Radha Govinda Preme Sarayena Vasi
यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्मा हत्याधिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणाशन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे
Yanika Nisapapa Brahmatadikanisha Tanikani Pranasante Pradachina Pade Pade
यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्मा हत्याधिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणाशन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे
Yanika Nisapapani Brahmatadikanisha Tani Pranasanti Pradachina Pade Pade
यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्मा हत्याधिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणाशन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे
Yanikani sapapani brahmatarikani sa Tani tani pranasanti prarachana paritmani.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani.
Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani.
Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi.
Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda.
Nitya Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitya Gaura Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol,
Hari Bol, Nitya Gaura Hari Bol. Jai Vrinda Devi ki jai.
Shri Vrindai Tulasi Devai Priyayai Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Satavatai Namo Namaha Vrindai Tulasi Devai Priyayai Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Satavatai Vrindai Tulasi Devai Priyayai Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Satavatai Namo Namaha Vrindai. Vrindayai Tulasi Devai Priyayai Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Satavatai Namo Namaha. Shrimati Tulasi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki Jai. Oh Tulasi, beloved Krishna, I bow before you again and again. My desire to obtain the service of Sri Radha and Krishna. Whoever takes shelter of you has wishes fulfilled. Bestow your mercy upon him, you make him resident of Vrindavana. My desire is that you also give me a residence in pleasure groves of Sri Vrindavan Dham. Thus within my vision, I would always behold the beautiful pastimes of Radha and Krishna. I beg you to make me a follower of Kavadamsas of Raj. Please give me the privilege of devotional service and make me honored servant. This very fallen and lowly servant of Krishna praise. May I always swim in love with Shri Radha and Govind. Srimati Tulasi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki jai. Adarshana Marmahatam Karo Vidadadulam Poto Matma Tastu Sarivanapa Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Shri Krishna Ki Jai. Glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years, and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. The Sankirtan moment is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases transcendental ocean of bliss, and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we're always anxious. O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings. And thus you have 100 millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There is not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I'm so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. Once you chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself a Lord and strong and straight, one should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer our respect to others. In such state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your cause of devotion service, birth after birth. O Son of Maharaj, Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow or other, I'm fallen in this ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes will be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up? And will the hairs on my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I'm considering moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I feel all vacant in the world and your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he should remain so. Even if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me, he is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally. Shri 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 Shastakam Ki Jai. There are 10 offenses in the matter of chanting the holy name of the Lord that must be avoided. They are as follows. 1, to blaspheme the devotees who dedicate their life for propagating the holy name of the Lord. 2, to consider names of demigods, the Lord Shiva, Lord Brahman, to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. 3, to disobey the orders of the spiritual master. 4, blaspheme the Vedic literature or literatures and pursuits of Vedic version. 5, to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. 6, to give some interpretation on the holy name of the Lord. 7, to commit sinful activities on strength of chanting the holy name of the Lord. 8, to consider chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in Vedas as fruitive activity, karma kanda. 9, to instruct the faultless person by the glories of holy name. And 10, to not have complete faith in chanting the holy names, and to maintain material attachments, even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must carefully guard against these 10 offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success. Krishna, Prema. Now let us offer our respectful obeisance. They are desires for everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen.
Shrimad Bhagavatam Grantaraj Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Yasya Yato Nivayat Itaratas Chartesu Abhigyaswarat.
Janmadyasya yatam vayaritaratas jatir swabigyaswara.
Tene Brahma Hridaya Adhikavaye Uyantiya Surayaha.
Tenne Brahma Hridaya Adhikavaye Mujantija Suraya.
Tejo Varimidam Yata Vinimayo Yatra Tisargo Misha.
Tejo Varimrida Jita Vinimayo Jatra Trisagomrisya.
Damna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuvakam Satyam Param Dhimahi.
Dhamna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuhakam Satyang Param Dhimahi.
O my Lord, Shri Krishna, son of Vasudeva,
O my Lord Shri Krishna, son of Vasudeva,
all-pervading personality of Godhead,
O all-pervading personality of Godhead,
from my respectful obeisances unto you,
how from our respectful obeisances unto you,
meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna because he is the absolute truth,
and meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna because He is the absolute
and the
truth,
primeval cause of all causes,
and the primeval cause of all causes,
creation, sustenance, and destruction of manifested universes.
of the creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universes.
He is directly and indirectly conscious of all
He is
manifestations.
directly and directly conscious of all manifestations.
And he's independent because there's no other cause beyond him.
And He is independent because there is no other cause beyond Him.
It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji,
It is He only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji,
the original living being.
the original living being.
By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion.
By Him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion.
As one is bewildered by the illusory representations
As one is bewildered by the illusory representation
of water seen in fire or land seen on water.
or water in the fire, or land is in the water.
Only because of him do the material universes,
Only because of Him do the material universes,
temporarily manifested by reaction to the three modes of nature,
temporarily manifested by the reaction of the three modes of nature,
appear factual, although they are unreal.
appear factual, although they are unreal.
I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Shri Krishna,
I therefore meditate upon Him, Lord Shri
who
Krishna,
is eternally existent in the transcendental abode,
who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode,
which is forever free from the illusory representations of the material world.
which is forever free from the illusory representation of the material world.
I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth.
I meditate upon Him, for He is the absolute truth.
Dharma projita kaitravudra,
Dharma Prujita Kaitavutra,
paramo nirmatsaranam satam,
Paramo Nirmasaranam Satam,
vedyam vastavam atravastu,
Vedyam Vastavamastravastu,
shivadam tapa trayonbulanam.
Shivadam Taputrayormunanam,
Shrimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite,
Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni
Kimva
Krite,
Parer Ishwaraha,
Kimva Paderishvaraha,
Sadyo Hridi Avarudyate
Sadyorudya Variryatetra,
Kriti Bihi Sususubhistakshanat.
Pritibhi Shushubhishtatkyanat,
Completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated.
completely rejecting all religious activities which are material motivated.
This Bhagavata Purana propounds the highest truth,
This Bhagavad Puran propounds the highest truth,
which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart.
which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart.
The highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all.
The highest truth, the reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all.
Such truth uproots the threefold misery.
Such truth uproots the threefold miseries.
This beautiful Bhagavatam compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva in its maturity
This beautiful Bhagavatam compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva in its maturity
is sufficient in itself for God realization.
is sufficient itself for God realization.
What is the need of any other scripture?
What is the need of the other
As soon
scripture?
as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam,
As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of
by
Bhagavatam,
this culture of knowledge,
by this culture of knowledge,
the Supreme Lord is established within his heart.
the Supreme Lord is established within his heart.
Nigama kalpatarur galitam phalam,
Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam,
sukhamukad amrita dravya samyatam,
Sukhamukhad amrita trava
pibata
sangitam,
bhagavatam rasam alayam,
Vibhata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam,
muhur aho raska bhuvibhavakaha.
Mur Ahora Sika Bhuvi
O
Bhavuka.
expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam.
O expert in fulfillment, relish Srimad
The
Bhagavatam,
mature fruit of the desired truth Vedic literatures.
the mature fruit, the desired truth, the Vedic literature.
It emanated from the lips of Sri Sukadeva Goswami.
It emanated from the lips of Shukadev Goswami.
Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful.
Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful.
Although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all,
Although its nectarian juice was all relishable for all,
including liberated souls.
including liberated souls.
Shinvatam Swakata Krishna.
Shrivantam Swakata Krishna.
Punya Shravana Kirtana.
Punya Shravana Kirtanam.
Hridyantaksto hi Bhadrani.
Hridyantastohi Bhadrani.
Vidunati Suhit Satam.
Vidhunoti Surit Satam.
To hear about Krishna from Vedic literatures,
To hear about Krishna from the Vedic
or
literature.
to hear from him directly through the Bhagavad Gita,
Or to hear from it directly through the Bhagavad Gita.
is itself righteous activity.
It is self-righteous activity.
And for one who hears about Krishna,
And for one who hears about Krishna,
Lord Krishna who is dwelling in everyone's heart,
Lord Krishna who is dwelling within everyone's heart,
acts as a best wishing friend,
acts as the best wishing
and
friend,
purifies the devotee who constantly engages in hearing of him.
and purifies the devotee who is constantly engaged in hearing of
Nasta
him.
presu abhadresu
Nasta praisha bhadrishu
nityam bhagavata sevaya
nityam bhagavata seva
bhagavati uttamasloke
bhagavati uttamasloke
bhaktir bhavati naistaki.
bhakti bhavati naistiki.
In this way, a devotee naturally develops his dormant transcendental knowledge.
In this way, the devotee naturally develops his dormant transcendental knowledge.
As he hears more about Krishna from the Bhagavatam
As he hears more about Krishna from the
and
Bhagavatam
from the devotees,
and from the devotees,
he becomes fixed in the devotional service of the Lord.
he becomes fixed in the devotional service of the Lord.
Tadarajastamo bhava
Tadarajastamo bhava
kamalobhadayaschaye
kamalobhadayaschaye
cheta itar navidam
Jeta etarna vidam
stitvam sattve prasidati.
Stitam sadve prasidati.
By development of devotional service,
By developing devotional service,
one becomes freed from the modes of passion and ignorance,
one becomes free from the mode, the passion,
and thus material lust and avarice are diminished.
and thus material lust and avarice are diminished.
Evam prasana manaso
Evam prasana manasa
Bhagavat Bhakti Yogataha
Bhagavat Bhakti Yoga
Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam
Bhagavat Tattva
Mukta Sangasya Jayate.
Jayati.
When these impurities are wiped away,
When these impurities are wiped away,
the candidate remains steady in his position of pure goodness,
the candidate remains steady in his position of pure goodness,
becomes enlivened by devotional service,
becomes enlivened by devotional service,
and understands the science of God perfectly.
and understands the science of God perfectly.
Vidyate Hridaya Grantis
Vidyate Hridaya Granti
Siddhyante Sarva Samsaya
Siddhyante Sarva Samshaya
Siyante Chasya Karmani
Siddhyante Sasya Karmani
Drista Evat Manishwari.
Drusta Evad Manishwari.
Thus Bhakti Yoga severs the heart not of material affection,
That's the Bhakti Yoga service now, not to material
and
affection.
enables one to come at once to the stage of a samsayam samagram,
And enable one to come as one to the stage of Samsham Samadhi.
understanding of the supreme absolute truth, personality of Godhead.
Understanding the supreme absolute truth, personality of Godhead.
Therefore, only by hearing from Krishna from the Bhagavatam, only by hearing from, therefore, only by hearing from Krishna or from his devotee in Krishna consciousness
Therefore, only by hearing from Krishna or these bodies in Krishna consciousness
can one understand the science of God,
can one understand the science of Krishna.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 19, verse number 14. Tasyaiva megasya paravareso
Tasyaiva me grasya paravareso
vyasakta chittasya grihesva bhikshanam
Vyakta sitasya greshva bhikhyanam
niveda mulo dvijasaparupo
Nirvedamulo dijasaptarupo
yatra prasakto vayam asudate.
Yatra pashakto bhasyam ashudhate.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the controller of both the transcendental and mundane worlds, has graciously overtaken me in the form of a Brahmana's curse. Due to my being too much attached to family life, the Lord, in order to save me, has appeared before me in such a way that only out of fear I will detach myself from the world. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Maharaj Pariksit, although born in a family of great devotees, the Pandavas, and although securely trained in transcendental attachment for the association of the Lord, still found the allurement of mundane family life so strong that he had to be detached by a plan of the Lord. Such direct action is taken by the Lord in the case of a special devotee. Maharaj Parikshit can understand this by the presence of the topmost transcendentalists in the universe. The Lord resides with his devotees, and therefore the presence of the great saints indicated the presence of the Lord. The king therefore welcomed the presence of the great rishis as a mark of favor of the Supreme Lord. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Gaura Premanandi Haribol. Okay, now we see and can understand how powerful is attachment to family. But attachment on the material level of the body, not really spiritual attachment. Of course, if husband and wife and hopefully children are Krishna conscious, then family life is transcendental. But if there is mundane attachment based on the body, and that means based on sense gratification, then family life is very uncomfortable, or you could say mundane. And therefore, Maharaj Parikshit, who's extremely surrendered and very humble person, is saying, oh, because of my over-attachment to my family, the Lord has arranged this wonderful arrangement. I'm going to be bitten by a flying snake. Just imagine how dangerous that is, a flying snake. Fortunately, we don't have any flying snakes anymore. Just like previously there were flying mountains also. Just imagine how dangerous that would be. And fortunately, we don't have any flying mountains anymore also. So in previous times, there were some things that were really scary. So this takshaka is a flying snake, and it's highly poisonous. So there's no way of getting away from it. So Maharaj Parikshit says, due to my being too much attached to family life, the Lord, in order to save me, has appeared before me in such a way that only out of fear I will detach myself from the world. Well, that's a significant statement. Only by fear can I detach myself from the world. So there's a saying by Muhammad. He said that fear that person who's not afraid of God, because they can do anything. But the devotees, rather than fearing God, they love God. But when there's too much material attachment, then fear of God can be a great thing. And double that or triple that geometrically with a sudden appearance of the greatest sages in the world, in the whole universe, coming to see Maharaj Parikshit leave his body. So now you have two very sobering, let's say, events. One is that Maharaj Parikshit knows he's going to die by the poisonous bite of a flying snake, which is, you can't get away from that. And number two, all these great sages come to see how he's going to leave his body. So that's extremely sobering. In fact, extreme to the highest extent. Right? So therefore, he feels very fortunate that there's no wiggle room, as they say in English. If you wiggle a lot, you might be able to get out of a situation. But when there's no wiggle room, you can't get out of the situation. So there's only one thing you can do, that's completely surrender to the Lord. So he says, due to my being too much attached to family life, the Lord, in order to save me, has appeared before me in such a way that only out of fear I would detach myself from the world. So in the purport, Prabhupada says, and it's an amazing statement, although born in a family of great devotees, the Pandavas, and although securely trained in transcendental attachment. So transcendental attachment nullifies mundane attachment, right? Because you can become attached to something much better than mundane attachment. So, and although securely trained in transcendental attachment for the association of the Lord, Maharaj Pariksit still found the allurement of mundane family life so strong that he had to be detached by a plan of the Lord. So, in the case of a devotee, when there's a disastrous situation, he should take that as a special mercy of the Lord to help him or her become completely detached from all mundane things and totally dependent and attached to the Lord. Because the allurement of mundane family life is so strong that he had to be detached by a plan of the Lord. Such direct action is taken by the Lord in the case of a special devotee. So that, in other words, the Lord is personally giving this disastrous situation to Maharaj Pariksit to show to the whole world what a great devotee Maharaj Pariksit is, how his exemplary, and to help him break this strong attachment to family life. Such direct action is taken by the Lord in the case of a special devotee. Maharaj Pariksit could understand this by the presence of the topmost transcendentalists in the universe. So whenever there is a big congregation of pure devotees, especially the purest devotees in the universe, that means the Lord is there also. Naham tistanti vaikunte yoginam hridaye suva tratra tistanti narada yatra gayanti mad bhakta. So this is a verse in Padma Purana that says, "Oh Narada, I'm not present in Vaikuntha. Naham tistami vaikunte yoginam hridaye suva," and I'm not present in the heart of the yogis. So, Tatratistami Narada, Narada, Yatra Gayanti Mad Bhakta, I am present there where my devotees are chanting my glories. So, or chanting Hare Krishna and chanting the glories of the Lord. So that's where the Lord is actually, so that therefore Maharaj Pariksit is saying, well, the fact that all these great sages have come to see me leave my body, that means the Lord is present also. Because in assembly of such great sages, there is only glorification of the Lord. There's no other subject. The Lord resides with his devotees, and therefore the presence of the great saints indicated the presence of the Lord. The king therefore welcomed the presence of the great rishis as a mark of favor of the Supreme Lord. So this is all extremely auspicious. And we can learn a lot from this, especially now that we should not be afraid of difficult situations. We should rather meditate on the Pandavas and Arjuna and meditate on Yudhishthira and Maharaj Pariksit, because they have given, and meditate on Srila Prabhupada. All of them have given an example of how to leave your body and go back to Godhead. Even though they are in the most, let's say, difficult situations. Because if someone depends completely on Krishna and is always hearing and chanting and glorifying the Lord, then even the worst situation becomes the best situation. Even the worst situation can become the best situation, and that's what we're seeing. Therefore, there's a very interesting verse, Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 5th chapter, 34th verse, that says, Evam Rinam Kriya Yoga Sarve Samsriti Hetava Ta Evat Mavinasaya Kalpante Kalpita Pare. Thus, when all a man's activities are dedicated to the service of the Lord, those very activities which caused his perpetual bondage become the destroyer of the tree of work. So, Prabhupada writes, fruit of work which has perpetually engaged the living being is compared to the banyan tree in the Bhagavad Gita. In other words, fruit of work, I can make some money if I buy this product in China and sell it in the United States. It only costs 15 cents in China, and I can sell it for $15 in the United States. With a lot of publicity, that'll cost some money, but the profit margin is so big that even with publicity, even with this and that, I'm going to make still a huge profit. So one's mind becomes fixed on the 15 cents to $15, right? And they go through so many difficult situations to import it and stock it and find the customers for it and ship it and then hope that the client pays for it, this thing, that thing. Sometimes the shipments are lost, sometimes this, sometimes that. Sometimes electricity goes off because of a big storm. Sometimes the computer crashes and they have to pay a lot of money to get it back to working. All these things are happening, right? Same time you might have indigestion, might be constipated. His kid had an accident with the car, and they got to get a lawyer. And, there's so many things can happen, and all that depends on the profit margin. Right? So it's a life of anxiety because there's fruit of work. I want to make so much. Just like when I opened the My Sweet Lord Cafe in the weeks leading up to the opening, different devotees came up to me and said, Prabhu, if we make this we could have a brunch, and serve, like scrambled paneer with turmeric and tomatoes, and it's like scrambled eggs, but it's vegetarian, and we can make so much profit on this. We charge $10 for brunch, and it only cost us, $2 to make it. And just imagine, I said, no, we're not going to do that. We do everything free. What? Free? What? Why should you do it free? Los Angeles has a restaurant, they're making so much money, and Dallas has a restaurant, they're making so much money. Why do you want to do it free? I said, no, we'll do it free. No, that's not going to work, Prabhu. I said, yes, it'll work, maybe. Let's see. He said, no, we at least let me do it every Sunday morning, and make some money. I said, no, we're not going to do that. They thought I was crazy. But yet, somehow or other, 13 years we operated My Sweet Lord, and it was free every day, that whole time. And then now we have a food truck, and it's free. Even with the food truck, people were telling me, you can make so much money with a food truck. This is the big thing now. I said, no, we're going to have a free food truck. What? Free? What do you mean free? That's not Prabhupada's program. I said, how do you know that? Of course it's Prabhupada's program. We should never charge for prasadam. So anyway, the idea is that there should not be, eventually in our life, any fruitive activity. I do this, I make so much profit. Now maybe when you're married and you have to maintain a family, okay. But at one point, we should become completely free of that profit incentive, because it breeds greed and jealousy. So, but even when we have to make money in order to maintain the family and all these things, we can still donate some of our time and our energy to Krishna consciousness, and offer service for free. And I've told this story before. I'll tell it again. In France, at one point, the leaders of the Yatra got this brilliant idea that in order to have everything work, profitably in the temple, each director of a particular service, like there's a head pujari, and there's the Sankirtan leader, and there's the head cook. And so they came up with this brilliant idea that everything should be money oriented. So if somebody from the kitchen needs somebody from the deity service to help, they have to pay the deity service for that person's service. Right? And if someone in the deity service needs someone from the kitchen to help with the deity service, they have to pay the kitchen. Right? So they started this money-based service program in the temple, because you had different departments. You have the farm department, the cow, agricultural department, the cow department. You had the deity department. You had the Sankirtan department. You had the accounting department. You had the this thing, that department. There must have been like 10 different departments, and each one had a leader. And if anyone wanted to borrow a person from one of those departments, they had to pay for it. Well, after some time, people were arguing. People were getting angry. And, they were arguing, it's not enough money. You're not paying enough money. Or they were saying, well, it's unfair because you keep asking for these people, and this thing, that thing, one thing led to another, and everyone was arguing. Everyone was upset, and getting, it ruined the relationship of the Vaishnavas in the Yatra in many ways. So you see, this money-oriented or profit-oriented activity breeds dissatisfaction and jealousy, and all these things come up. It happens in a family also. So, therefore, fruitive work which has perpetually engaged living being is compared to the banyan tree in the Bhagavad Gita, for it is certainly very deeply rooted. As long as the propensity for enjoying the fruit of work is there, one has to continue the transmigration of the soul from one body or place to another, according to one's nature of work. The propensity for enjoyment may be turned into the desire for serving the mission of the Lord. By doing so, one's activity is changed into karma yoga, or the way by which one can attain spiritual perfection while engaging in the work for which he has a natural tendency. So this is a very profound point that's been made here by Prabhupada in a few words. It says, as long as the propensity for enjoying the fruit of work is there, one has to continue the transmigration of the soul from one body or place to another, according to one's nature of work. So, in other words, as long as the profit incentive is there, that's in other words, fruitive work, you have to continue birth after birth. Birth, death, and rebirth, and death again. But the solution to it is the propensity for enjoyment may be turned into the desire for serving the mission of the Lord. So we all have a propensity for enjoyment, but if we can transform that into serving the mission of the Lord, then we will enjoy also, but in the way by which we're not entangled by the fruitive or the profit entanglement or the mundane sense gratification. By doing so, one's activity is changed into karma yoga, or the way by which one can attain spiritual perfection while engaging in the work for which he has a natural tendency. Now, if you look at these other movements like the Mayavadi movements, right? What is their technique? Their technique is stop work. Stop associating and just meditate, and eventually end up in a cave or a dark room meditating and closing out everything from your life so that there's no attachments. Now imagine how hard that is. So here it's opposite. It's saying, wait a minute, you don't have to do that. You simply give up fruitive work and engage in the service of the Lord with the complete dependency on the Lord. But you can't do it overnight. You have to do it gradually. If you do it overnight, you can have what's called a healing crisis. What's a healing crisis? So sometimes people go on a severe diet and they take strong medicines and things like that to get rid of some severe disease, right? So as soon as you start detoxing, you have what's called a healing what I just said crisis. You have a healing crisis, right? That is, it looks like you're getting sicker and you feel like, horrible, but that's because the toxins are coming out of the body. And then after a little while, it goes away and you feel great. And you say, wow, it was worth it. But I got really scared. I took the medicine, I did the diet, and it got worse, but then it got better. And now I'm healed. So this healing crisis, imagine what a healing crisis it would be to suddenly leave your family, go into a dark cave somewhere in the Himalayas, it's freezing cold, and say, I'm just going to stay here now and meditate and close out everything. Right? You wouldn't be able to do it. It would fail. You would freak out. So this process of transformation from fruitive work to pure devotional service has to be gradual also. Just like the process of becoming completely alone and meditating and not having any attachments at all for the Mayavadis is extremely difficult, and you cannot do it overnight. You would fail. But this other process is happiness. The propensity for enjoyment may be turned into the desire for serving the mission of the Lord. By doing so, one's activity is changed into karma yoga, or the way by which one can attain spiritual perfection while engaging in the work for which he has a natural tendency. Okay? So somebody likes to make flower garlands. Okay, you can make flower garlands for the deities. Somebody likes to cook cakes. Okay, you can cook cakes for the deity. Somebody likes to decorate the deity. Okay, you can do that. Somebody likes to sew. Okay, you can sew clothing for the deity. Someone likes to sing. Okay, you can go out on Sankirtan. Somebody likes to dance. Okay, you go on Sankirtan. Somebody likes to handle money and wisely. Okay, you become the treasurer. You see? So all these natural tendencies for work can be dovetailed into the service of the Lord. And then by doing that, one can attain perfection while engaging in the work for which one has a natural tendency. Okay, so the conclusion is that when the result of all fruitive and other work is dovetailed with the service of the Lord, it will cease to generate further karma and will gradually develop into transcendental devotional service, which will not only cut off completely the root of the banyan tree of work, but will also carry the performer to the lotus feet of the Lord. This is profound, very, very profound transcendental knowledge. The summary is that one has to, first of all, seek the association of pure devotees, who not only are learned in the Vedanta, but are self-realized souls and unalloyed devotees of Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. In that association, the neophyte devotees must render loving service physically and mentally without reservation. Well, physically we can do it. Mentally, We can do it also, but it's more difficult because it means our mind has to be totally connected to Krishna and his service and cannot wander. It's got to be like a flame in a windless room. When there's no wind, the flame doesn't flicker. So the mind should be like that. But to control the mind, to be always engaged in glorifying the Lord and hearing the transcendental activities of the Lord, of reciting transcendental prayers that glorify the Lord, etc., etc. It means that the mind is not wavering at all. That's very difficult, but it's possible. Just like Arjuna tells Krishna, he says, for me, controlling the mind seems more difficult than controlling the wind. This is on, where is that? The 3rd chapter. It says, where is that? I'm sorry, 6th chapter. 6th chapter, yeah. Chanchalam hi malak Krishna pramati balavadritam tasyaham nigraham manye vayur eva suduskaram. 634. The mind is restless, turbulent, and very strong, O Krishna. And to subdue it, I think, is more difficult than controlling the wind. Wow. More difficult than controlling the wind. So, but Krishna says, O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment. So what is a suitable practice? It's Krishna consciousness in the association of pure devotees. Then it's possible. And this was explained in more depth by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it's right in the introduction of the Srimad Bhagavatam and then in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So when Lord Chaitanya was having a discussion with Ramananda Rai, what's the best way to become Krishna conscious? So when he met Sri Ramananda Rai on the bank of the Godavari, the Varnashram Dharma followed by the Hindus was mentioned by the Lord. Sri Ramananda Rai said that by following the principles of Varnashram Dharma, the system of 4 castes and 4 orders of human life, everyone could realize transcendence. In the opinion of the Lord, the system of Varnashram Dharma is superficial only, and it has very little to do with the highest realization of spiritual values. The highest perfection of life is to get detached from the material attachment and proportionately realize the transcendental loving service to the Lord. Notice it says proportionately. It's a gradual process. The personality of Godhead recognizes a living being who is progressing in that line. Devotional, this is in the introduction to Srimad Bhagavatam. In my book, it's page 28. It could be different in other places, but okay. The page can be different, not the text. The personality of Godhead recognizes a living being who is progressing in that line. Devotional service, therefore, is the culmination of the culture of all knowledge. When Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appeared for the deliverance of all fallen souls, when Sri Krishna, the Personality of Godhead, appeared for the deliverance of all fallen souls, he advised the deliverance of all living entities as follows. The Supreme Absolute Personality of Godhead, from whom all living entities have emanated, must be worshipped by all their respective engagements, because everything that we see is also the expansion of his energy. That means everything we do should be directed toward pleasing Krishna. That is the way of real perfection, and it is approved by all bona fide acharyas, past and present. The system of Varnasrama is more or less based on moral and ethical principles. There is very little realization of the transcendence as such. And Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected it as superficial and asked Ramananda Rai to go further into the matter. What is the matter? What is the best way to become Krishna conscious? Sri Ramananda Rai then suggested renunciation of fruitive actions unto the Lord. The Bhagavad Gita 9:27 advises in this connection, Yat karosi yad asnasi yad yohosi dadasi yat tapasyasi kontiya tat kurusva malarpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you give, as well as whatever you give or whatever you offer to the Lord, or whatever you give in charity, as well as whatever you perform in penance or tapasya, offer to me alone. This dedication on the part of the worker suggests that the personality of Godhead is a step higher than the impersonal conception of the Varnasrama system. But still, the relation of the living being and the Lord is not distinct in that way. Okay, so Mayavadis say, you don't have to do this yat karosi yad asnasi. You just meditate on Brahman and give up all attachments, including offering prasadam, worshiping the deity, going out on Sankirtan, hearing Bhagavad Gita. You don't need any of that stuff. You just meditate on nothing, or like the Buddhists, or you meditate on the light. Like, for example, if you press yourself in the third eye here hard enough, you'll see some light. With your eyes closed, you see some light, right? So they talk about meditating on that light, right? But that's not Krishna conscious at all. So therefore, this, at least the Varnashram system, is a step up from that Mayavad philosophy, because it's trying to, everything should be offered to Lord Vishnu, according to the Varnashram system. The Lord therefore rejected this proposition and asked Ramananda Rai to go further. Why did he reject it? Because the relationship between the living entity and Krishna is not clearly established in the Varnashram system. Ramananda Rai then suggested renunciation of the Varnashrama Dharma and acceptance of devotional service. Now, surprisingly, the Lord did not approve of this suggestion also, for the reason that all of a sudden one should not renounce his position, for that may not bring in the desired result. Whoa, this is big time here. Because you can't just renounce everything in the material world and say, now I'm going to become a pure devotee. It's not that easy to do that. Maybe there's some exceptional people that may be able to do that, but usually it doesn't work. And we've seen it in ISKCON. Young men took sannyas from Srila Prabhupada, and they fell down. They were not ready to actually take sannyas. Or a husband leaves the wife and says, I'm going to take sannyas. And then later on he gets married with some other woman. So it's not recommended. Okay, so the Lord did not approve of this suggestion also for the reason that all of a sudden one should not renounce his position, for that may not bring in the desired result. It was further suggested by Raya that attainment of spiritual realization freed from the material conception of life is the topmost achievement for the living being. Guess what? The Lord rejected this suggestion also because on the plea of such spiritual realization, much havoc has been wrought by unscrupulous persons. Yeah, just like recently, this email went out to all Hindu organizations. It was a letter that the so-called Nityananda Paramahansa, the present avatar of God on earth, wrote to President Joey Biden, telling him that he is the supreme representative of Hinduism because he is the avatar of God present on the earth today. Well, so this is why Lord Chaitanya rejected what? It was further suggested by Ramananda Raya that attainment of spiritual realization, freed from the material conception of life, is the topmost achievement for a living being. The Lord rejected this suggestion also because on the plea of such spiritual realization, much havoc has been wrought by unscrupulous persons. Therefore, all of a sudden, this is not possible. Yeah, so this so-called present avatar of God on earth, this is nonsense. He's not an avatar of God. He's just the lowest class of human being. It's not even a human being, it's an animal to even think that he's God. Therefore, all of a sudden, this is not possible. The Ramananda Roy then suggested sincere association of self-realized souls and hearing submissively the transcendental message of the pastimes of the personality of Godhead. Guess what? This suggestion was welcomed by the Lord. Just sit down, no matter what your position is, just sit down regularly, hopefully morning and evening, and hear Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam spoken by pure devotees. You can also, well, the purest devotee that we know is Srila Prabhupada. You can hear his lectures. There's over 3,000 lectures by Srila Prabhupada. Right? You can't ask for anything better than that. And you can also hear his books, not simply the verses, but verses and purports, because the purports are the explanation by Srila Prabhupada. So that's associating with the purest devotee that we know, that's Srila Prabhupada himself. This suggestion was welcomed by the Lord. This suggestion was made following in the footsteps of Brahmaji, who said that the personality of God is, that's the verse, that's a verse spoken by Lord Brahma, who said that the personality of God is known as Ajita, or the one who cannot be conquered or approached by anyone. But such Ajita, meaning Krishna, also becomes Jita, meaning conquered, by one method, which is very simple and easy. The simple method is that one has to give up the arrogant attitude of declaring oneself to be God himself, like our so-called avatar. One must be very meek and submissive and try to live peacefully by lending the ear to the speeches of the transcendentally self-realized soul who speaks on the message of Bhagavad Dharma, or the religion of glorifying the Supreme Lord and his devotees. To glorify a great man is a natural instinct for living beings. Look how much they glorify Joey Biden, or Mr. Trump, or this one or that one, or Bezos, or all these different big businessmen, or sports heroes, or this hero or that hero, this politician or that politician. They're all being glorified. To glorify a great man is a natural instinct for living beings, but they have not learned to glorify the Lord. Yeah, they glorify all these other people. But the best person to glorify is Krishna himself. That's what we should be doing 24 hours a day. Perfection of life is attained simply by glorifying the Lord in association with a self-realized devotee of the Lord. And there's a footnote here, and Prabhupada says, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness has been formed for this purpose, that people can sit down like this with no noise or interruption and hear the glorification of the Lord on a daily basis. This is what Lord Chaitanya said, that's the best way to become Krishna conscious, because then your chanting will become better, your hearing ability will become better, and your association with other devotees and people would become better. Everything would become better spiritually by this regular hearing. He didn't say, you become the next avatar. He didn't say that. He didn't say you should be meditating in a dark cave in the Himalayas, meditate on the lights, or meditate on nothing. He didn't say that. The Lord Chaitanya said, just sit down like this every day, be very humble and meek, hear the glorification of the Lord spoken by pure devotees. That's what Srimad Bhagavatam is. It's what are we reading here? We're reading about Maharaj Parikshit. It's glorification of Maharaj Parikshit. And what did we read before? It was glorification of Maharaj Yudhisthira. And what did we read here before that? There's glorification of Bhisma Pitamaha and of Kunti Devi and so forth. The whole thing is glorification of devotees. What did we learn the other day? That is, and then we'll repeat it again, serving the devotee of the Lord is better than even serving the Lord. We discussed that yesterday, right? The Lord is more pleased by serving his pure devotee. That's why we're all trying to learn in this temple how to serve Srila Prabhupada, right? And because he's pure devotee of his guru and his guru and his guru, back to the Lord Brahma and back to Krishna. So by serving the devotee, one pleases Krishna. By serving the devotee of the Lord. This suggestion was welcomed by the Lord. This suggestion was made following in the footsteps of Brahmaji, who said that the personality of Godhead is known as Ajita, or the one who cannot be conquered or approached by anyone. But such Ajita also becomes Jita, conquered by one method, which is very simple and easy. The simple method is that one has to give up the arrogant attitude of declaring oneself to be God himself. One must be very meek and submissive and try to live peacefully by lending the ear to the speeches of the transcendentally self-realized soul who speaks on the message of Bhagavad Dharma, or the religion of glorifying the Supreme Lord and his devotees. So this is what Krishna consciousness is. It's Bhagavad Dharma, glorifying the Supreme Lord and his devotees. To glorify a great man is a natural instinct for living beings, but they have not learned to glorify the Lord. Perfection of life is attained simply by glorifying the Lord in association with a self-realized devotee of the Lord. The self-realized devotee is he who surrenders unto the Lord fully and who does not have attachment for material prosperity. Material prosperity and sense enjoyment and their advancement are all activities of ignorance in human society. Okay, that's the next poster. I haven't seen the second poster. What happened to it? What? Just now coming. You're not working fast enough, Prabhu. And this is the third one. Material prosperity and sense enjoyment and their advancement are all activities of ignorance in human society. Peace and friendship are impossible for a society detached from the association of God and his devotees. See, it's always God and his devotees, God and his devotees, Krishna and his devotees. It is imperative, therefore, that one sincerely seek the association of pure devotees and hear them patiently and submissively from any position of life. That means you could be the worst person in the world. That the name of that is called Adama. But you can become Uttama by this regular hearing in the association of devotees. The position of a person in the higher or lower status of life does not hamper one in the path of self-realization. The only thing one has to do is to hear from a self-realized soul with a routine program. That means regulated every day of your life, of our lives. The teacher may also deliver lectures from the Vedic literatures, following in the footsteps of the bygone acharyas who realized the absolute truth. So we're teaching from the Vedic literatures, like the Vedanta Sutra, like the Puranas, like the Vedas themselves, like the Mahabharata, like of which Bhagavad Gita is the essence of it. Yeah. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommended this simple method of self-realization, generally known as Bhagavad Dharma, glorification of the Lord and his devotees, right? Srimad Bhagavatam is the perfect guide for this purpose because the whole book is all about glorifying Krishna and his devotees. Okay, did you know this paragraph existed in the introduction? No. How many times have you read the introduction? You never read the introduction? You never read the introduction to Srimad Bhagavatam? Well, I'm in the same class as you are. I sort of discovered this today. It's like it hit me like 100,000 pounds, boom, on my head. So, hey, wake up, man. You are sleeping while walking around and talking, walking and talking, but actually sleeping. You know, there it is. This one section of the and it's a short section, has the essence of the whole life of a devotee. Right? Okay, we'll stop right there. Are there any questions? There's too much nectar. I mean, you know, when you start getting into it, you suddenly realize, man, I shouldn't do anything. This is the only thing I should do. You know, but no, we can't do that because we all have certain obligations. But we can do it at least once a day, and even better would be twice a day. Right? And Prabhupada said, this is why we started the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, so this can happen. You know, and the morning. This time in the morning is very auspicious because, you know, like I used to give lectures every Sunday feast, right? But every Sunday feast, little kids are running around, they're screaming, and people are talking in the back, and there's some devotees hanging out in the back, you know, like this against the wall with their hand in a bag, like that. You know, it's completely disjuncted, right? But today, like this, people hear. Right? And there's interaction, and it becomes, you know, effective. And that's what it's all about. It's not that, you know, oh, Maharaj is coming, and we're going to have a 7-day Bhagavad Saptaha. No, that doesn't work either. What works is every day, at least once a day, and twice a day is even better. Right? But to be able to have this quiet is not easy later on in the day. It's only at this time that it's quiet like this. Of course, if the pujaris are not talking too loudly, right? even that is disturbing, right? Yeah. We should think about this. We should celebrate the fact that we heard this. Yeah. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thank you.